Whoever is elected to the White House could have a profound impact on Europe and its stance on trade, as well as foreign policy. And to prepare for this, the EU has set up a task force to deal with the outcome of the American polls. William Denselow reports from Brussels.
A plan to end the war with Russia by next year. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has pitched his victory plan to allies over recent weeks, including to Donald Trump, who aims to reclaim the role of United States Commander-in-Chief.
І тому ми і обираємо. Ми і обираємо НАТО. Не ядерну зброю. Ми обираємо НАТО. І я вважаю, що мене почув. В даному випадку Дональд Трамп почув, що він сказав, у вас справедливі аргументи.
But on the campaign trail, the Republican candidate has questioned the billions of dollars the US has poured into support for Ukraine, criticizing Zelensky as the greatest salesman of all time. Many European powers are nervous about the prospect of a Trump presidency, fearing that he might pressure Ukraine to cede territory to Russia, encouraging Moscow to further encroach on countries on Europe's eastern flank. There's also concern that his return to the White House signals a US pivot towards authoritarianism, which could embolden populist and nationalist leaders within and beyond the continent.
Trump has very clearly stated his preference towards working with the strongman, kind of Christian-leaning, anti-immigration leaders in Europe.
Some on Europe's political right see it as an opportunity. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, for one, says he'd celebrate a Trump win with bottles of champagne.
Hungary would 100% put all its chips on a strong bilateral relationship with the United States and hope to get more influence through that in the European Union.
Trump has also threatened to pull out of NATO if fellow members don't spend more on defence. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, maintains that support for Kyiv is in the strategic interest of the US. She's also said her support for the military alliance is ironclad, but analysts say both presidential hopefuls want to see more action from its European partners.
The big strategic rival they see is China, and that's where they would like to be able to think about, put their resource and everything that goes with that. But they can't do that while the Europeans aren't doing what they should be doing, both in Europe and what you might call Europe's near abroad, which is the Mediterranean, quite a lot of Africa as well.
The outcome of the election could also heavily impact trade ties between the European Union and US.
Donald Trump has threatened to impose duties of up to 20% on all goods imported to the US, whether from allies or not. The EU has set up a rapid reaction force as it braces for the possibility of a more protectionist president.
Back in 2018, then President Donald Trump imposed tariffs on European steel and aluminium. A duties truce was then struck by the Biden administration, but that arrangement expires in March, leaving the next president with a big decision to make shortly after taking office in January.
Do they want strong European allies, or do they see them, as is the case with Donald Trump and his inner circle, as free riders who have kind of taken advantage of America's security guarantees and kind of loop-sided unfair trade agreements?
Washington is the EU's biggest trading partner, and US investment in the bloc is 4 times that of the Asia-Pacific. And who holds the keys to the White House will have a key bearing on Europe's future. William Denselow, CNA, Brussels.